I cannot wait to talk about this episode. Oh. Thanks for the connective tissue, Thanos. Hawkeye episode 5 has dropped on Disney Plus today, so if you're not caught up with the show and you haven't begged your parents for a Disney Plus subscription, click off of this video, go watch something else, because we're going to talk about the nitty-gritty spoilers, and oh, there's some juicy ones, so stay tuned. Okay, we're past the intro. You guys have 5 seconds before I spoil something for you, so click off the video right now. Kingpin is in the freaking show. He's in the show, dude. He's in the show. Okay, so we didn't actually get like a scene with Vincent D'Onofrio, but Vincent D'Onofrio is confirmed and credited, because I watched the credits. He is credited for Hawkeye as the Kingpin, and he was name dropped by Hawkeye as the Kingpin. It's happening, dude. It's happening. It's so good to see these rumors and stuff become true and come to fruition, because, man, I had such an attachment to that Daredevil show from Netflix. I loved that show, and I really did enjoy all the other Netflix Marvel shows. None of them really were as good as Daredevil. Daredevil just had a special warm place in my heart. I loved it. It was a really good, well put together show. It was the most different Marvel thing we've seen in today's world, because, you know, Marvel used to do a lot of more darker things with like the Marvel Knights and what they did with Fox and Daredevil back then and Blade and all that, but now we just get that MCU bubble, and it has a certain vibe to it, but that Netflix stuff really did offer a different flavor of Marvel content that we really wanted in today's world, and now we're getting those awesome, iconic characters played by the awesome actors bleeding into the MCU finally, because Kevin Feige and us fans share common interests. We love us some Vincent D'Onofrio. He's a really great villain and an imposing person to have on screen, so I cannot wait until we get to see like the full-on return of Vincent D'Onofrio. Probably in episode 6. I'm crossing my fingers on it, dude. They were teasing it pretty much the whole show, the first 4 or 5 episodes, and now it's like, no, they're pointing fingers. They're like, this dude is important. He's gonna be involved some way, shape, or form going forward, and I'm excited. We've already got the announcement of Echo, her own show, so that could have some tie-ins with Kingpin, because she works for him. Maybe because some Charlie Cox Daredevil. I don't know. I don't wanna speculate, but you know, it's already like, you know, we know. Okay, I just had to get that out of the way, because that was a real like gasp moment. Like, I was really surprised and just thankful that this is finally coming to fruition. I don't like to get hung up on rumors too much, but it's hard not to. Some of them are so exciting and so perfect. They're that missing puzzle piece that almost fits perfectly, and that's Kingpin for me. Anyways, we're gonna set him aside for a little bit. Let's talk about episode 5. This episode was a pretty mellow one, if you ask me. The 3rd episode was the one that had the most action in it so far, and it was the most engaging. 4th episode had a little bit of action, but it was one of those somber episodes, and I really liked everything they did in it, though. I liked that back and forth between Kate and Clint, getting to know each other, slow reveal that she finds out he is Ronin. Like, I liked all of that stuff. This episode lets you take a little back seat and chill, relax in the world. We get a nice long scene between Kate and Yelena, getting to know one another. Kate tries to find out why she's targeting her and Clint, and it's clear to her that she wasn't working for Maya, because she kicked Maya in one shot in that last episode. So this chick she's a lone wolf. The scene was very funny and adorable. I liked seeing these two interact with one another. Kate is very straight-faced in this whole scene. She's very much on edge. She doesn't know who to believe, who to trust, and rightfully so. I mean, this person was trying to attack her and Clint in the last episode, so that's fine. But Yelena's acting all warm and comforting with Kate. She's offering her macaroni that she made while she was waiting for her. It was some really cute, adorable stuff, until she flipped the switch, and that's when she put on her serious face and started talking about Natasha. I'm her sister, and I'm here to kill Hawkeye Clint, because he is responsible for the death of Natasha. He got her killed. And this is where my little intro comes into play. play, and this is where the intro to the episode comes into play as well. The episode opens up with Yelena like tracking down this, I believe, an old Black Widow, and she tries to use that red mist to, you know, knock her out of the spell of, what's his name? The villain of Black Widow. I'm about to review that real soon, so stay tuned for that, but it says something I don't remember the guy's name. Then Yelena goes into the bathroom to wash her hands and face, and then she turns into dust. Then she comes back, not even a second or two later, she comes out of the bathroom, the walls change, it's a different color, and there's like new people in the apartment. Apparently the person she was trying to save in that same scene got married, had kids, and 5 years passed. Oh, because Thanos. But if you're not a nerd like me, you'd be lost as because the show doesn't really dive deep into it, and that's just a tiny little issue. It doesn't bug me personally. Like, I don't think the Hawkeye show is just terrible for this, but it is a little bit of a detriment to people who have not seen Endgame and Infinity War. But I think soon enough we're all gonna have to embrace that the Marvel films, the Marvel television series, and just Marvel Studios as a whole is not just its own studio, it's its own genre, and that comes with its own implication, and the implication is you gotta watch more than just the one thing. Just a little bit. You gotta be familiar with it to fully understand and grasp the weight behind everything that's going on, because not everything is its own self-contained story. Everything has a connection to some other property that takes you into that next property and brings the hype level up, and you know how Marvel works. Afterwards, Kate goes back home to her mother, and her mother cleans up all the battle scars and wounds, and she tells her mother about the boyfriend, that he's got some shady stuff going on that me and Clint found out. You should really look into that before, you know, you pursue marriage and whatnot. And the mother, you know, she nods her head, she agrees, whatever, anything for my baby girl and whatnot. And then we cut to Clint. Clint is going back to this the LARPing guy, the one who's been making the costumes for Kate and Clint. And I haven't mentioned the LARPing people. They were like in the second episode. That's a little funny little side thing going on. I really like that first LARPing scene. I forgot to mention it, but it was a really cool scene, and I like to see these characters continue to be involved in the show. Like, they're the ones that are going to ultimately create the costumes for Hawkeye and Kate, so that's pretty cool. After Clint meets up with the LARPing guy, he then goes to this memorial on the side of a bridge for the Battle of New York, and it has Tony Stark's name on it, Steve Rogers, and pretty much all the main core Avengers from the first Avengers film, and he's basically having like a chat with the spirit of Natasha to himself, and he's just like, I wish you were here and you would know exactly what to do in this scenario. And I love continuing that connection between Clint and Natasha. Of course, I'm gonna keep reiterating this now and when I review Black Widow, that Black Widow's film should have been a team up between Black Widow and Hawkeye, and hell, we should have got more Hawkeye in the last 10 years of the MCU. He should have been in Winter Soldier, a little involved there. He should have popped here and there. We should have had some Budapest stuff with Natasha and Clint by now, is what I'm saying. I really think that they would have benefited both. Both characters would have benefited for having that backstory just more fleshed out. But it still works. Whenever Jeremy Renner and Scarlett Johansson were on screen together, I bought into their friendship and their relationship, that there was history there more than just, hey, let's be friends, and then years pass. Like, it's more than that. It's more depth. We got a little tease in the Black Widow film that Hawkeye once was sent to go after her, and man, like, I really wish we got to explore the beginning of their relationship. After he pays his respects, Clint calls his wife to have a little one-on-one chat. It's a very vague conversation, and I, as an audience member, feel a little left out on the conversation, but I kind of have a feeling what he's planning on doing. Like, there's this overarching baddie in this show that just hasn't been revealed yet, and I've already revealed in the beginning of this episode, but it is Maya's boss, and Maya's boss is being referred to as the big guy, and Clint doesn't want to upset the big guy, so he's got to handle it because he seems to have some sort of history with the big guy. The next scene, we got Maya in a parking lot during the nighttime. She's got her right-hand man on sniper, and the Ronin shows up. The Ronin, someone dressed up as Ronin, is here, and he starts taking out all of the Traxxas Mafia guys. Say, bro, move out of the way. And it's revealed, he pulls it off, it's Clint. Clint dressed it up just to scare scare Maya a little bit. They have a nice, really sick one-on-one fight, hand-to-hand combat. Love to see that. Love to see that Clint is not just a bow guy. He bests her, knocks her on her ass, and then he takes his mask off, reveals that it's him, and then he says, if you come near me or my family, there's gonna be hell to pay. And then he reveals that her boss told him to kill her father in that whole scene in the beginning of what, the 3rd or 4th episode? Yeah, dude. So she doesn't believe it, of course. Then she's in denial. She then bests Ronin, grabs the sword, and is about to strike him, but then an arrow comes out of the way, shoots the sword, and it's Kate. She was watching over Clint and saved him. The next morning, they're having breakfast with the LARPing guy, and then Kate gets a mysterious message from an unknown number, and I had a feeling it was Yelena because they were showing shots of Yelena following Kate's mother, Eleanor, into this building, and then Yelena sends her a picture of Eleanor, her mother, talking to a very large man. Very large bald man in a white jacket, a white suit jacket. Kate looks up at Clint and says, who's this? And he's just chewing on cereal. Oh, that's the guy I'm worried about, it's the Kingpin. So there you guys have it. That is my review of Hawkeye episode 5. Let me know down below, what did you think of it if you've seen it yet? If you haven't, well, I just spoiled the hell out of that for you. I am beyond excited to see Vincent D'Onofrio back as Kingpin. He was the second best part, if not rivaling Charlie Cox of the Daredevil show. Like, I think those two were the perfect casting for those two roles. They just pulled it off so well, and I'm glad to see that Kevin Feige and Marvel Studios have a shared interest in those two actors reprising their roles, because I just had a feeling they were going to reboot everything and whatnot, but they're going heavy on this multiverse crap. So who knows, dude? The possibilities are endless. I'm still blown away that freaking Jamie Foxx is coming back. Like, I really thought he was not redeemable from that Amazing Spider-Man movie. Like, I honestly thought that, but he's back. They fixed him up a little bit, but everything else is now possible because of that. So guys, leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you're new, and be sure to stick around because I will be covering Spider-Man No Way Home this Friday. Got my tickets to see it tomorrow night, so it's gonna be a fun time. But in the meantime, go check out my reviews I posted of all the other Spider-Man films, minus Into the Spider-Verse. I'm saving that for the build-up to Across the Spider-Verse Part 1. I reviewed the Sam Raimi's trilogy, the Mark Webb duology, and the Tom Holland films, all in the lead-up to Spider-Man No Way Home. So there's a lot of Spidey content to enjoy on the channel. You might want to stick around because No Way Home's right around the corner, and there's always more to come.